So obviously there is a huge elephant in the room when it comes to the Jaguars right now, and really what I put on this YouTube channel. I haven't obviously this weekend has been a pretty eventful weekend, for kind of the wrong reasons. Urban Meyer on Saturday was caught in 4K with basically a woman kind of grinding up on him while he was kind of on a bar stool, and the video went completely viral. And I really did not want to discuss this matter because I only really like to discuss stuff on this channel that I really feel like I can give good insight to. And with me on this, I really didn't know what to say. And I didn't really know what to think at the time because there's a couple of different issues that come into hand. First of all, is obviously morality reasons. I mean, Urban Meyer is married, and he was basically caught openly cheating out in public. Now, I don't know what's going on with their relationship. He's married. I don't know the way him and his wife swing. I know in the relationship that I'm in, I would get killed for doing something like that. But maybe Urban Meyer, I don't know if he gets a little bit more leeway with stuff like this. I don't know. I can't really comment on that, and I can't comment on how his wife Shelly should react to something like this. And also when it comes to the video, it's a little bit like his she was rubbing up on his forearm. Maybe she just came up and he wasn't really into it. He was just kind of like, okay, what do I do in this situation? But then a second video kind of came out where Urban Meyer was really filling her up in all the wrong areas downstairs. And it really, you can kind of look at the first video and kind of say, maybe he can get away with this. You can speculate on that kind of thing. But then the second one came out and you can't really defend that. I mean, it's almost like in football where somebody fumbles the ball, you can't tell from one angle, and then all of a sudden the second angle, it's clear that they fumbled the ball. I mean, that literally happened with Urban Meyer. So that comes into play. Another thing that comes into play is the fact that Urban Meyer did not ride the team plane home from the Cincinnati. He actually stayed in Cincinnati because obviously he has a lot of links to Ohio, and it wasn't a normal week. It was a Thursday night game, so we just kind of spent the weekend over there. And that's another thing that's kind of interesting because, look, I think it's wrong if other players can't get on the airplane and ride home. If other players can't stay if they have to ride the airplane home, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, the coach can do this, but we can't. But me not being a former player, I can't speak to whether or not this is something that should be allowed or shouldn't be allowed. I mean, I know I see a lot of times players on, these extended weeks where they play on Thursday Night Football. A lot of times, they're at their alma mater on Saturday. They're being introduced on a jumbotron. Same with bye week. So I don't know how much of a standard practice this is, and that's another thing that's kind of being debated. And, I really wanted this. I thought it would happen Saturday. It would go viral Sunday, and then Monday would come. Urban Meyer would defend himself, and it'd kind of be done. And he did that. He came up with his excuses, this and that. Whatever. He owned up to it the best way I guess he could. Some people liked it. Some people didn't like it. Whatever. We can kind of speculate on that. And we were really hoping this story would go away, but it seems like the ball is really rolling downhill right now. You know what I mean? He started something that is just, like I said, man, it's rolling downhill. Then Michael Lombardi tweeted this morning, according to two Jacksonville sources, there are many closed-door meetings happening over the last 2 days in the football offices, and none of them have anything to do with the Titans. Stay tuned. This might get ugly. And then, E_Dilla on Twitter has a lot of sources within the building. And, he basically said that all of that is true. And it's a horrible situation right now. Because Urban Meyer, this is such an avoidable situation. And I defended him with different stuff. The Chris Doyle hire. Look, he hired him, big time backlash, released the next couple days, whatever. You went out there, you did something, you owned up to it, said it was wrong, you cut him. And then over to Tim Tebow, you signed Tim Tebow, whatever. It's 1 out of 90 players, giving them a shot, didn't work out, whatever. And then just, all these other different things kind of sprinkled in here. And then now with this girl at the bar, man, I mean, I remember myself, and it's dumb to compare myself to Urban Meyer, but I just remember me when I was a freshman in high school, or not in high school, a freshman in college. I came over and I was at my first like fraternity party, and then I was basically like making out with a girl. I was like, man, I'm the man. This is awesome. And then, everyone's gonna think I'm so like cool and such a player for this. And then, they kind of said to me, look, like you don't, some of the older guys, look, you don't want to be doing that. It looks bad. You don't want to be kind of putting yourself out there like that. It's just no one thinks you're cool for it or whatever. And I was like, and then, I realized later, like when I'm out at the bar and seeing people like sucking face with each other, filling them up, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't get myself in that situation. So it's like everything you should do should be in private. And Urban Meyer is out here. When Urban Meyer walks into a building in Ohio, he has an aura around him. I mean, he won national championships for Ohio State. Everybody knows who he is. He's a very distinguishable person. And nowadays in the social media era, anybody can be recording you. And he's out here caught in 4K doing this type of thing. It's like, dude, come on, man. You've got to be smarter than that. And just he preaches to his players, like, be safe, don't be the center of the news and all this stuff. And then so many different times Urban Meyer has put himself in the center of attention. And it's so freaking hard to defend. I mean, come on, dude. You have to be better than that. And then not only that, now like, Shelly Meyer, she's very active on Twitter and stuff like that. And ever since the video released, she hasn't tweeted anything. I'm sure she's being blown up on Twitter about this thing. And now he has probably some issues at home. And that's the last thing that you want. You want, them to come from the building, from the football offices, be able to drive back home, and then home is their comfort spot. Now, I don't know how comfortable it is at home. And this is a freaking train wreck right now. Man, and I like the hire. Look, you go out and you hire a guy that's won 3 national championships in college football. You went for the home run hire. You didn't go for the base hit. You didn't go for the Raheem Morris, a guy that's been an NFL coach before, been a head coach. You didn't go for like the old Gus Bradley kind of thing and hire like Robert Saleh, the next up and coming, defensive coordinator type of guy. You went out of the box and you went there and you tried to get this guy. And we're 4 games in. And, on the field, I think things are good. Obviously, we're progressing. We got blown out by Houston, but honestly, when you look back at that, we were so built to lose that game with all the veterans that we had and with all the veterans that the Texans had. They had a coach that's been an NFL coach like his whole life. And then you look at the Jaguars and we're led by a bunch of rookies. Obviously, it's not like the greatest, situation to kind of come in here and win. But now, like, Urban Meyer just keeps putting himself in a national spotlight so many times. Some things aren't his wrongdoing. I mean, like, talking about like the NFL free agency, not liking that. But let's be real. Urban Meyer's had a target on his back ever since entering the NFL. You know what I mean? Whether he does good or bad, everybody's going to be watching him. And this kind of thing breaks out. It's tough. So like I said, I can't speak out as to the morality of it when it comes to how his wife should react and how his family should react. I can't react to that. When it comes to not taking a team plane home, I don't know how much it really impacts the players. Honestly, I don't think the players really care, if I'm being honest. But, you never know if they do or not. But the biggest thing is we have a big distraction going on. We're Tuesday and we're having meetings, not about football. We're playing our biggest division rival. When we're literally, the leader of the division is 2-2 right now. We're 0-4. Like, we're only 2 games back. I mean, we could legitimately make a decent run, and, this weekend would be a huge opportunity, but we're not even focused on Tennessee right now. And we've had an extended bye, and we're focused on, like, clearing things up, and I don't know. It's just like, with Shad Khan, It sucks because this team has been so bad with Shad Khan, but it really seems like Shad Khan cares. I mean, he's trying, like, he spends money. He's not a cheap dude. He spends money in free agency. He wants to, build these practice facilities. You know what I mean? He went out there and he's paying Urban Meyer so much money per year, but he's just been a horrible owner so far. I mean, his record as an owner has just been horrible. You know what I mean? Every single year has been a double-digit loss season, except for 2017, which looks like a weirder year every year that we get removed from that. And really, dude, if this team did not have Trevor Lawrence, I don't know where my optimism would be when it comes to this team. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looks like he's the great up-and-coming quarterback some of you have been wanting for so long. We finally got him, but we can't trust Urban Meyer and stuff like that at this point. And it's it's sad. It sucks, honestly. But hey, if Urban Meyer does not end up being the guy, we're still in a good position because you could easily go out there and hire a Bieniemy, a Brian Dable, a any of these guys. Would come in here and they could, lead this team in the right direction. But I don't know. I mean, this team seems like it's improving, which I like. And, given a talent level, we should not be winning. I mean, our team, just the roster wise, is not very good just yet. But, there's a lot of sketchiness with Urban Meyer saying, okay, do we really see this guy being our head coach in 5 years? You know what I mean? I mean, most people, if there were some Vegas odds, the odds would be heavily in favor of the under. But we're just in here. We want to just win, build a winning culture, all this kind of stuff. But, it's so much harder said than done. So when it comes to this, we'll just have to see kind of how this plays out. I don't know. It's just not the most ideal situation, especially just, coming off of a very close Thursday night game. But hey, one thing we do know is if we can get a win Sunday against the Titans, things would be so much different. Optimism would be changed around it. And I think a lot of people will forget this. But, it's only a matter of time before the next BS comes out about Urban Meyer. And it's just, it gets harder and harder to defend him as these different things happen. So those are my thoughts on the situation. Hopefully, this thing gets under control sooner rather than later. And maybe we can stack up some W's. But life is a Jags fan, right? But all right, guys, back to football. Thank you for watching. Go Jags.